in hustle all day long, every day, always feeling like I'm forgetting something, always feeling like it's never enough. I just don't want to live like that anymore. I'm saying no. I am completely just, nope, not for me anymore. Hey, my name is Stephanie Simmons, and I'm completely obsessed with living in a culture of freedom and helping you maneuver your way through the chaos to the calm. As a small city mom of 6, I took my life into my own hands, quit my job, and went all in on my side hustle, creating the freedom to not only make my own schedule, but to make time for the people and things that matter most in life. Working from home, I now have an online business teaching others how to realize their passions, map out their goals in business and in life, and make those goals their new reality. I'm just over here telling it exactly like it is as we dive in on topics like burnout, balancing it all, finding joy, and dreaming up those crazy cool next chapters of your life. Business, mindset, breaking barriers, and showing up for yourself and the people you care about are all things we talk about here. Ready to become the curator of your best life? Lean in, take a listen, and let me challenge you and cheer you on to creating a life you absolutely love. This is the Freedom Culture Podcast. Hey, welcome to the Freedom Culture Podcast. I'm so excited that you are here for episode numero uno. I am just thrilled to be starting this podcast, and I love that you're here listening. The first episode is all about the Freedom Culture movement, what that is. I really just made it up. There is no Freedom Culture movement. It only exists in my mind. But we're going to make it happen. So obviously you're here because you listened to the trailer or somebody told you to listen, or for whatever reason, maybe you just know me and want to support me regardless of how you got here. I think that it's super important to really analyze hustle culture right now in all of our lives and what kind of role that might be playing in your life. I know for me, hustle culture has had some really debilitating effects on my life. I am a single woman. I'm a mom of 6. My name is Stephanie Simmons, by the way. I am an entrepreneur. I own a couple of service businesses in my city, and I've started this new venture, podcasting, and starting to create the Freedom Culture platform, which will be something of a resource for people. That's the intention of the future of it, and I'll talk more about that in upcoming episodes. But the whole point of the Freedom Culture movement is to really start to move away from hustle culture and the expectations that are put on all of us, particularly women. I'm not excluding men in that statement, but I do really believe and feel that women have more expectations placed on us this day and age for some reason. It's just astounding to me how we got here and how far we've got into it. I know a lot of people who are just so damn busy. You know, we're running around, we're doing all the things, we're trying to essentially create a life that has freedom. And this is not only entrepreneurs, although a good handful of the people I'm talking about are female entrepreneurs. It tends to be who I surround myself with, because I am a female entrepreneur and I love it, and I love networking, and I love talking with other business owners to see what they're doing, what they're working on, and how we can support each other. And for the most part, it's like, who even has time to do that? It gets so busy. And over the last year, I would say, I've been working really hard to be really intentional about what I'm choosing to put in my days, because I'm just not interested in feeling overwhelmed all the time. I'm not interested in hustle all day long, every day, always feeling like I'm forgetting something, always feeling like it's never enough. I just don't want to live like that anymore. I'm saying no. I am completely just, nope, not for me anymore. My intention and my goal, and probably likely your goal in listening to this and what might have drawn you to this podcast, because I really truly believe that you're here for a reason. But what might be your intention as well is that you want to be able to choose your life. You want to be able to select your days the same way you select what you're going to wear. You know? Like, I want to wake up and go, this is what I want to do today. And maybe that might not seem very realistic right now, but I really think that it is. We can do this. We can do anything that we want to do as long as we believe that we deserve it and we believe that we can achieve it. Those are the two things that need to happen. We need to have faith in ourselves. We need to believe that it's meant for us. And over the course of the last year, I've really been giving thought to this freedom culture aspect. We have been conditioned for so long to feel like we need to keep being more and more and more, that it makes us feel like we are just never going to get there. We're just never enough. And what we are is not enough. And we are in such a social media world that's always showing us all of these images of perfection and of other people doing all these great things. And in comes comparison, and in comes the thought that you're just not doing enough. But it's just not true. And I'm here to say it's just not true. And it's just not healthy for us to keep comparing ourselves to other people, because why on earth would we want to be someone else when we get to be us, right? I don't know if you've ever seen the movie 27 Dresses. I'm just going to use it as an example. I'm a total movie freak, by the way, so this is going to happen often. But in 27 Dresses, the two sisters, one of them says, all I've ever was trying to be is to be you. And the sister said, why would you want to be me when you get to be you? They both wanted to be the other person because they admired them. And I just want to say, why would you want to be anyone else when you get to be you? No one else can be you. No one can think like you. No one can talk like you. No one can create like you. And if you don't feel that, or you don't really believe that, stick with me. I hope that I can help you, because I believe it. I believe it for you. And I'm not just talking about me. I want it for you. I want you to get the life that you want. I want you to be able to do work that you love. I want you to feel like you are in your life, experiencing your life and all of the things in it, and making the time to be able to do that. I want you to have that time. And part of freedom culture is really taking a look at what is making up our days and where we're spending our time. And are we feeling freedom in that? Are we enjoying it? And do we really like what we're doing every day? This has been super challenging for me because I've been sort of torn between some of the businesses that I started a while ago, years ago, and it just doesn't align with where I'm going anymore. So I've been trying to break away from one of my businesses in particular, and it's not that I don't respect it and love it. I've built something. It's been 8 years of building it. I became an entrepreneur in 2016, January, and I feel like I'm just in a great place with it. I love what I built, and I'm ready to let it go, because I have to let it go in order for me to be able to move on to something else. So I've been slowly letting it go. But I think that it's important for us to step back and really take a look at that. And what does that really look like for us? Are we loving our work? Are we only liking parts of it? I think one of the most interesting things about entrepreneurs is that oftentimes we think that it's going to be freedom to own your own business. Then you get to choose your schedule and you can do whatever you want and you get to make all the rules. And while that's very true and can be very true, that's not generally what it ends up looking like, especially in the beginning. Oftentimes you're working way more hours than you might have been at a job as an employee because you're creating it. But for a lot of people who have chosen to start a business doing something they really like, some of that isn't going to feel like work. Some of that is going to be that you just are enjoying creating, or you're enjoying whatever it is that you do. But the other part of that often ends up being things that you are not enjoying, but you have to do because you can't afford to pay someone else to do them. Like if you're a baker, maybe you don't know anything about accounting, but now you're being forced to learn because you don't have the ability to pay someone to do the books. Just an example, right? So oftentimes this goes on for years, and we don't realize that we're slowly starting to hate our business because we are getting pulled further and further away from the things that we love doing that was the reason we started the business to begin with. So the reason I'm talking a lot about this is it's just a really good example of how we can think that something is going to make us feel free, but in watching it play out and slowly again stepping away from the things that made us feel free in the beginning or made us want to start it, I think it's important to acknowledge that we have to constantly be thinking of it. So even if I were to open a new business tomorrow, I know personally that I don't really love executing social media. I don't mind creating pretty squares and whatever, but I don't like doing all of that stuff. That's just my thing. This is what I don't like. I really would like to pay someone else to do that. And there's other things that I don't like doing either, but for the most part, I'm an entrepreneur, I think, primarily because I like to have variety in my days. I don't like to wake up and do the same thing every day. That is not who I am at all. And that's why this works for me, because I get to do different things. Like Thursdays I do payroll, or not every Thursday though. Maybe I'll do it Tuesday next week. Who cares? But I know sometime that week before Friday I have to do payroll. So I like having that variety. But for entrepreneurs who don't, I think it's really important to remember not to lose sight of why you started it, and to remember the things that bring you joy and keep making sure that you're the one doing those activities. And as soon as humanly possible, put a little money into hiring somebody to do the things you really hate, because that is where you get to keep your joy in the business. And oftentimes when we do invest a little bit of money in paying someone to do some of those tasks, we end up creating more revenue. We end up being able to stay passionate and be able to create more because we're doing more of what we love. And when we focus on doing more of what we love and less of what we don't love, good things always come out of that. I forget who it was I think it's Dean Graciosi. I like him a lot. He has a podcast as well, and he does a lot of work with Tony Robbins. And he said something interesting. And I'm just paraphrasing because I'm not going to remember exactly how he said it, but he talks about people are always trying to improve on the things that they aren't good at. But his suggestion was, instead of stressing yourself out over the things that you're not good at and trying to improve at them, because some of them are just natural things that you just could try forever and you're probably never going to be good at that. So instead, why don't you focus your energy on the things that you're great at and just master that, get better at it, and use that. Do those things that you're great at. Be great at that. You don't have to be great at everything. And this is just so true. And I loved when he said it, because we can only do so many things. And contrary to what some people might think, you just can't do it all. Not all at once. We can do anything, but we need to still have focused work, focused intention in order to move things forward. In order to complete anything, you have to focus on it. So I think he's totally right in that whatever it is that you're great at, focus on that. Because that's where the magic is. It's no coincidence that you're great at it. You're either naturally great at it or you worked hard to be great at it. But you're great at it. So why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we doing those things that we are great at? And usually you're great at something you actually like doing, which is all the more reason to make more time for it in your life or to create a business of it or whatever. Anyway, I went off on a bit of a tangent there, but this is what freedom culture feels like to me. And that's why I get so passionate talking about those kinds of things, because we all want to do work that feels good. We all want to make some kind of difference, whether we realize it or not. I think everyone's goal is to make some kind of impact in this lifetime. Now, I can't speak for everybody, and I could be totally wrong, and I'm okay with that. But if that's you, and it probably is, because you're listening to this, if you want to make some kind of impact, think about what it is that you're doing right now in your life, in your work, with your friends, the things that make up your days. Are you making that impact that you want to make? Because there is freedom in that too. There's freedom in doing things that provide some kind of benefit to other people. And having passion in the things that you do makes you feel good. It makes you want to do more of it. So freedom culture really is the opposite of hustle culture, if you didn't get that. That's exactly what it is. It is just a different way of thinking. I'm trying to just smash all the expectations. I don't want any of those. I no longer have a problem just eliminating expectations, other people's expectations of me. I have my own expectations of myself, which I think is healthy and fine. And sometimes I can be hard on myself. I think we all are far too hard on ourselves and need to remember to give ourselves grace. We need to celebrate our little victories, whether we do it alone with a special cup of something we love or whether we celebrate it big. The launch of this podcast, I made sure to have a launch party. It was more just to acknowledge the challenge that it was and rising to that challenge. It's still a challenge. This is only episode number 1, and I had to do a lot to get here, and I loved the challenge. It was like terrifyingly exciting for sure, but those are the kinds of things I like to challenge myself to do. And I really believe I was led to this space. I know that I wanted to create this, but it took me a while to really get clear on what it is I wanted to say, what kind of topics we were going to talk about. And this definitely is a place for people who are interested in becoming an entrepreneur. Not only that, though, people who are looking to feel like they have more control over their life than perhaps they do right now, and to actually have more control, to actually feel like you have a say in what makes up your day, because we sometimes get so far away from that. And I really hope that people are able to take some time to assess their life and what's actually making up our days. Oftentimes, we just get on this hamster wheel of life, right? We're just going, but we're not actually making any improvements along the way. Of course, we're learning things and, we grow, but we're not really growing in big leaps. And that is a concept that I was introduced to a few years back, is quantum leaping. And it's really kind of fascinating when you look into it a little further. There's a book called You Too, and it is all about quantum leaping. What does that really mean? Well, it's like I'm not going to be able to explain it properly, but I don't want to just move the needle a little. If I can move it a lot, then I want to do that instead. I want to make sure that everything that I'm doing has a compounding effect, if you know what I mean. In the book Atomic Habits, how just making an incremental change, creating one little new habit, how big of an impact that can have over time. So it's very similar to investing. Even if you just put $1 in a day, well, that just keeps doubling, say, for example. And then what do you end up with? Even if it's just $1, if you do the math and look at that on a chart, you're going to see that that has a compounding effect. And that's exactly what little habits do for you in your life. So even if you said right now, you know what, I'm going to start going for a walk by myself every morning so that I can get really clear on my day and what I need to do and how I'm going to get it done, or whatever you want to think about on the walk. Maybe that's not what you want to think about. I don't know. For me, I like to go on walks because I get really inspired and I get really great ideas. The same way I get great ideas when I'm taking my laptop and working in a Starbucks or in a restaurant, when I have like food there that I didn't have to cook. And I love to cook, but I also love to go and just like purchase stuff and sit there. And something about the ambiance, I get stuff done. And also on walks, it doesn't matter when I go for the walk or anyone that's around, none of that matters. The walk really does help to clear my mind. So even if you said, I'm just going to take a 10-minute walk in the morning, that one change, because maybe you don't walk at all. Let's say you don't walk at all, and you decide I'm going to go on a 10-minute walk every morning. That has a compounding effect in itself, even though you're not increasing the minutes, because it's a benefit to you. So even if you can add some kind of small benefit to your day every day, do you think you would really keep only walking for 10 minutes if you started doing that every day, though? Probably after like a couple of weeks, if not before then, you're going to add more minutes. It's just the way it's going to be. But it's just an example, right? So in that book, which is a really great book, by the way, Atomic Habits, it just talks about how it doesn't have to be so big. You don't have to just all of a sudden create a new habit, because that's not how new habits really work. You need to do it for a length of time in order for it to actually become a habit. And it doesn't have to always be hard. And remember your words, right? Words have power. So if you say it's going to be hard, then it's going to be hard. So how about we think it's going to be easy? So definitely check that book out. It's one of my faves. And I will be mentioning some of these things from time to time, and I will be sharing this all on my website as well. The website is coming soon. So if you're listening to this in real time, it might not be launched yet, but I will also put that in the show notes when those are available. Again, in real time, they might not be available yet because it's brand new and I'm just getting started, and I didn't want to not launch this episode. We launched November 4th at 4 p.m. and I wanted to make sure this was out to everybody. So thank you so much for listening in. It has been a real pleasure getting started on this journey. And I think that we're going to do some special things together. So I hope you hang in there. I hope you have got some sneak peeks about upcoming episodes. I will share that episode number 2 is particularly close to my heart because it allowed me to make some big changes in my life. Episode 2 is called What a Trip to Paris Pushed Me to Do. So yes, I did go to Paris, and I'm going to tell you all about it in the next episode. So tune in and find out what the heck I did after my trip to Paris, because I was there for a reason. It was a really important trip in my life, and I went in 2019, right before the pandemic, and it was perfect because after that, things kind of got a little crazy. And if right now you're feeling like things are a little crazy around you or in the world and the news and everything that's going on is being a bit overwhelming, or you're feeling like things are uncertain, just remember that the only certainty that we can have in this life is the certainty of ourselves, the certainty that we are present and that we can be exactly who we are, and that the world needs you just like that. So you don't have to be anything outside of who you are right now, right here in this moment. That's the real freedom, is knowing that you are enough, knowing that everything that you have gone through up until this point in this moment, and you listening to these words, has played a really important role in making you who you are. And there's no shame in any of it. And even though some of it may have been painful, or some of it may have felt so hard and that how could this possibly be helping my life? Just think about how it has created the person that you are right now. And I want to ask you, what is it that you're great at? What is it that makes you who you are? What is it that makes you different from the next person? Because those things are what make you authentic. And you never want to be anyone but you. Because why would you want to be someone else when you get to be you? Don't forget that. You're special, you're important, and the world needs you as you. They need your gifts, they need your words, they need your thoughts. Anyone can do things in a certain way, but only you can do it the way that you're going to do it. And there's someone out there in this world who needs you to do that thing, whatever it is. And I'm, again, not saying you got to go out and create your own business. I'm not saying that you got to go and do anything, but there's something inside you that's being called to be pulled out. Do you feel the pull? Do you feel the call? If you feel called to do more, then explore that. Figure out what it is. And let me help you, because I love doing that. It's one of the funnest things. One of the things that I love doing the most is helping people realize their power and realize what they have within them already without having to do any work. I'm not telling you to go take any courses. I'm not telling you to do any of that. I'm only saying look inside you and pull out the special thing that only you have. That's it. So I just want to leave the episode ending on that note. The world needs you as you. Bye for now. Yes, you've made it to the end of the very first episode of the Freedom Culture Podcast, and I am so grateful that you did. Thanks for tuning in, and if you found the show helpful or are looking for any of the resources mentioned in this episode, just hop on over to my website at stephaniesimmons.co and sign up. That way you can get notified when there's new episodes, or you can follow me over on Instagram at stephaniesimmons.co and just simply send me a direct message there with the word podcast to stay in the loop. Thank you again for joining me, and I will catch you next time on the Freedom Culture Podcast.